potential differences are generated in the photoreceptor cells, namely the rods and cones. The optic nerve is going to leave the eye and the blood vessel is going to enter the eye, the aqueous humor and the vitreous humor. This we call it as vitreous humor and here we call it as aqueous humor. Enters the eye, there is no rods and cones, that is the photoreceptor pigments. Hello everyone, welcome back to session 8 of this chapter 21 of your syllabus called Neural Control and Coordination. Myself, B. Shobharani from the Department of Biology, Vidyashram Pre-University College, the Temple of Excellence in Mysuru. Moving on to the remaining concepts of this very interesting chapter called Neural Control and Coordination. Hope you remember in the last session we were studying about the very important sensory organ or organ of vision, that is the eye. And we have already studied about the structure of an eye, which consists of three very important layers, that is the sclera, then the choroid and the retina. So moving on to the remaining concepts of this wonderful organ of our body called eye, the optic nerves. Here you can see the optic nerve here. So this is the sclera, choroid, then the retina, then we can see here the cornea, then the iris, ciliary body, then the lens, then here you can see the blind spot. We are going to study what is that blind spot, then the vitreous chamber and the aqueous chamber. Moving on to the optic nerves. Here you can see the optic nerves leave the eye. So the optic nerves leave the eye and the retinal blood vessel enters it at a point. Here you can see the optic nerve is going to leave the eye and the blood vessel is going to enter the eye. So at a point where rods and cones are absent. So this particular point, which is called, here you can see this spot, and this is called as a blind spot. What is this blind? I hope you remember we have studied in the last session about the photoreceptor cells, pigments. Like the retina is made up of ganglion cells, then the bipolar cells and the photoreceptor cells, where we have come across the cones and rods. So here the cones and rods are absent in this particular region, hence it is called as the blind spot. Very, very important concept to be learned even from examination point of view. They might ask, so what is blind spot? Here you can see that the optic nerve leaves the eye and the blood vessel enters the eye, and in this particular region where the optic nerve leaves the eye and the blood vessel enters the eye, there is no rods and cones, that is the photoreceptor pigments. So that particular region of the eye where photoreceptor pigments, namely the cones and rods, are absent is called as blind spot, right? Then at the posterior pole of the eye, lateral to the blind spot. So at the this is the posterior part and that is the anterior part of the eye. So this region is called as what? Posterior. Posterior part of eye. This is called the anterior part of eye. So this is the posterior part of eye and this is the anterior part of the eye. So at the posterior pole of the eye, lateral to the blind spot, there is an yellowish pigment spot called macula lutea. So it's not shown here. So at the posterior pole of the eye, lateral to the blind spot, there is an yellowish pigment called what? Spot called macula lutea. So the optic nerves leave the eye and the retinal blood vessel enters it at a point where rods and cones are absent, hence it is called as what? Blind spot. So what is a blind spot? Here you can see the optic nerve leaves the eye and the retinal blood vessel enters at a point where rods and cones are absent. So we call that particular spot where the photoreceptor pigments, namely the rods and cones, are absent, is called as blind spot. And at the posterior pole of the eye, lateral to the blind spot, there is a yellowish pigment spot called macula lutea. Now, this macula lutea with highly concentrated cones where the vision is sharpest. What do you mean by sharp vision? Having high resolution of vision, we call it as the sharpest vision. So macula lutea, which is found lateral to the blind spot, is with highly concentrated cones. Blind spot does not have the photoreceptor pigment, neither the cones nor the rods. But macula lutea, which is lateral to the blind spot at the posterior pole of the eye, macula lutea is with highly concentrated cones where the vision is the sharpest, that is high resolution vision. So in the center of macula lutea, there is a central pit called fovea. Here you can see the central pit called fovea centralis. This is called fovea. This is called fovea centralis, a tightly packed array of specialized photosensor receptor cells, and it prevents the entry of high intensity light by closing the eye by reflex action. I think all of us know when we come early morning, when we get up and can we see the bright sunlight? No, it is not possible. We close the eye. Or any bright light, we close our eye. So, and this is made possible by this reflex action of this particular part called macula lutea. So, in the center of macula is made possible by fovea centralis. So, in the center of the macula lutea, there is a central pit called fovea centralis, a tightly packed array of specialized photoreceptor cells, prevents the entry or the high intensity light by closing the eye by reflex action. So, what is macula lutea? So, the lateral to the blind spot to the posterior pole of the eye, there is a spot called macula lutea with highly concentrated cones where the vision is sharpest. So that is the high resolution vision is called as sharpest vision. And in the center of macula lutea, there is a central pit called what? Fovea centralis, a tightly packed array of specialized photoreceptor cells, and it prevents the entry of the bright light, high intensity light, by closing the eye by reflex action. Now, the lens, here you can see the lens. Here you can see the pupil, cornea, then the macula. This is the eye anatomy, fovea, blood vessels and retina. That is the lens. I think all of us know the eye. In front there is one lens composed of crystalline protein is suspended behind the pupil. Here you can see it is suspended. Lens is suspended behind the pupil. It is suspended behind the pupil. Behind the pupil by a suspensory ligament attached to the ciliary body. By a suspensory ligament attached to the sensory body. The lens suspensory ligament divide the cavity of the eyeball into chambers. So here you can see two chambers. One is called, here you can see in the particular, so two chambers. One is called the aqueous chamber, the other one is called the vitreous chamber. Aqueous chamber and vitreous chamber. So the lens suspensory ligament divide the cavity of the eye into two chambers where you come across the aqueous humor and the vitreous humor. This we call it as vitreous humor, and here we call it as aqueous humor. Aqueous humor. So chamber in front of the lens. So the chamber in front of the lens is called as what? Aqueous chamber filled with aqueous humor. And the chamber behind the lens, here behind the lens, is called as what? Vitreous humor. This is called aqueous humor and this is called the vitreous humor. So chamber in front of the lens is called aqueous chamber filled with aqueous humor, and the chamber behind the lens is called the vitreous chamber filled with transparent gel called vitreous humor. So the lens, here you can see the lens is composed of a crystalline protein, which is lens is suspended behind the pupil of the eye by a suspensory ligament which is attached to the ciliary body, and the lens suspensory ligament divide the cavity of the eyeball into two chambers. What are the two chambers? Two chambers of eye. two chambers of eye. One is called the aqueous chamber and the second one is called the vitreous chamber. So aqueous chamber and vitreous chamber. So the lens, so chamber in front of the lens is called as what? Aqueous chamber, and it is filled with aqueous humor. And chamber behind the lens. So here you can see behind the lens. This is in front of the lens and this is behind the lens. So chamber behind the lens is called vitreous chamber, which is filled with transparent gel called vitreous humor. Moving on to the mechanism of vision. Now let us understand how are we able to visualize the images. How is the image formed in the eye? It's a very, very important concept to be learned not only from examination point of view but from understanding point of view also. This is very important. So we should understand how the images is formed in the eye. It's a very, very important concept to be learned. So here you can see the beautiful picture. Here rays from distant object, that is the parallel rays, focus on retina, then the sensory ligament become taut, then lens become thinner, flatter, less convex, ciliary muscles relax, then circular muscle relaxes, enlarged portion of the eye. So this is the enlarged portion of the eye. So mechanism of vision. Now let us understand what is the mechanism that is involved in the process of formation of an image, or what we call it as vision. So the light rays in visible spectrum focused on the retina through the cornea, and the lens generate potential. What do you mean by potential here? Impulses in the rods and cones. Rods and cones are photoreceptor pigments. They are the photoreceptor pigments. So the light rays in visible spectrum is focused on the retina. So the light ray, when it falls in the eye, that is invisible spectrum, is focused on the retina through the cornea, and lens generate potential, that is the impulses in rods and cones. So the photosensitive pigments composed of opsin, a protein, and a retinal, an aldehyde of vitamin A. So light induces dissociation of the retinal from opsin, resulting changes in the structure of the opsin. So first, the light rays in visible spectrum is focused on the retina through the cornea, and lens generate potential, that is the impulses in rods and cones. Then the photosensitive pigments, which is composed of opsin, a protein, and another one called retinal. So one is the photosensitive pigment. Photosensitive pigments. One is opsin, the other one is retinal. Opsin is a protein, whereas retinal is an aldehyde of what? Vitamin A. Vitamin A. Then light induces dissociation, splitting of the retinal from opsin, resulting changes in the structure of opsin. So what is the mechanism that is involved in the vision? That is, the light rays in visible spectrum is focused on the retina. So here you can see the rays from the distant object is focused on the retina. Then through the cornea, and the lens generate, here you can see the lens generate potential impulses in rods and cones. Then the photosensitive pigments, which is composed of the opsin, which is a protein, and retinal, which is an aldehyde of vitamin A. So light induces what? Dissociation of opsin, resulting changes in the structure of opsin. Then this causes change in the membrane permeability. As a result, potential differences are generated in the photoreceptor cells, namely the rods and cones. So this causes change in the membrane permeability. As a result, potential differences are generated in the photoreceptor cells. So this proceeds a signal that generates what? Action potential in the ganglion cells through the bipolar cells of the retina. So these action potentials transmitted by optic nerves to the visual cortex area of brain, where the neural impulses are analyzed, land the image formed on the retina is recognized. So here you can see accommodation for a far near target, accommodation for a far target. So far blood, near in vision, and here you can see how the image is formed. So this change in the opsin, the structure of opsin causes change in the membrane permeability. As a result, potential differences are generated in the photoreceptor cells, namely the rods and cones. So this proceeds a signal that generates action potential in the ganglion cells through bipolar cells. So these action potentials transmitted by the optic nerves to the visual cortex area of the brain, where the neural impulses are analyzed and the image formed on the retina is recognized. Hope you have understood the mechanism of the process of formation of vision. So imagine, I think all of us know, like we have far-sightedness, defects of eye, like far-sightedness or nearsightedness. Far-sightedness means we are not able to have the vision of the nearby objects. Far-sighted sight is like we are not able to see the nearby objects. Then, whereas in case of nearsightedness, like we are not able to visualize the far objects. So all these are some of the defects of the eye which is involved, like when we don't come across the formation of images properly and there is a defect in the functioning of the eye, then we'll have so many defects. So I'll be back in the coming session with some more interesting concepts of this very interesting chapter called Neural Control and Coordination. Till then, goodbye and thank you.